Good morning, all. Welcome back to Sew Granny Sew. I was really super excited. I ordered in some books from Fabric Cafe. Those who are not familiar with them, go ahead and check them out. Donna and Fran and John are excellent over there. Hannah. And they sell their books as well. They're all 3-yard quilt for the books that I received. Some work with fat quarters, some are 3 yards. So I have my 3 yards of fabric. I did cut a little bit extra of those two because one does have bad spots in it. So I cut like 1 1/3 yards on these two. So we're going to go ahead and we are going to make the reflections quilt with it. And if you look close, you can see it's kind of got the snowball block in it. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get my fabric all cut out for that. Of course, I can't give you sizes or anything because this is their patterns. But I am going to get it cut out and we'll go ahead and get started on putting it together. So we are back and we have all of our fabric pieces cut out. There is quite a few. It wasn't a big deal on cutting out fabric. A lot of it is stripped. If you have your big 6x24 ruler, you're good to go. So the first thing we're going to do is make our snowball blocks. We're just going to utilize 1 larger block and 4 smaller blocks for this block. So you only have 2 blocks for this whole quilt, which is awesome. So we're just going to flip our smaller block upside down. And we're going to draw point to point on the diagonal. And we're going to do that with all 4 blocks. Okay, once we have those lines drawn on there, we're just going to take the big, larger block and we're going to put 1 into each corner. And then we're going to pin those into place, so make sure you have them nice and lined up. And I like to pin on each side of the line. So your diagonal will run from side to side versus this way. So you do want to make sure that's correct on all your blocks. We have them all pinned into place. We're going to go ahead and sew on each one of those lines. So I will go ahead and get that done and I will meet you back here. Okay, so we have all 4 corners sewn on our snowball block. So we're just going to take our ruler and go along each seam that we put in there and line up our 1/4 inch mark with that. And we're going to trim these blocks down. Okay, once we have them all trimmed down, we will go ahead and finger press those open. And we will just press that down. And we will do that to all 4 sides. So in their books, they give instructions to make the quilt in 3 different sizes. So this is a lap size that I'm making. They also give the instructions for a twin and a queen king. So in this one here, I'm just making the smallest version that they have in their instructions. And it has 12 of each kind of block. So we have 12 of the snowball blocks and 12 of the alternating blocks. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up my other 11 snowball blocks. And then I'll meet you back here to do the alternating blocks. Okay, so we have all of our 12 snowball blocks done. So we're going to go ahead and square those up and set those ones aside. And then we're going to take this strip of fabric number 1 and 2 strips of fabric number 2. And we are going to sew them together lengthwise. So we'll just line up, go ahead and put some pins in here. And then we're going to take a 1/4 inch seam all the way along that, come back, and then we'll sew that onto that one in the same fashion. And we'll get those ironed open and I will meet you back here. So we now have our strips set together. I sewed together and ironed flat. So we are going to go ahead and section this down. So I am going to just go to the end and we're going to get a straight edge on that to work from. I did leave the selvage on all mine. So when you're sewing, remember to reverse it. So if you're going to sew this one starting at that end, sew the other one starting at the other end. That helps it to keep it from shifting, kind of going warping like. If you've ever sewn strips, you'll know what I'm talking about. They kind of like to go kitty wampus after so long. So I'm going to go ahead and get this cut down now into the sizes that we need, and I will meet you back here. So we're just going to line that up on the side now. We'll throw some pins in there, making sure that we're all the way at the end here. Okay, then we'll go ahead and put a 1/4 inch seam on that, and then we'll cut it off there and come back and do the same for this side. So I'll get that part done and I'll bring you back. We have our inner block done. So now we're just going to take fabric number 3, and we're going to go a row there, and we'll sew that on with a 1/4 inch seam, cut that off, and then we'll do this side here, and sew that on with a 1/4 inch seam and cut that off. And then I'll come back and we'll do the sides here. So I'll bring this to the sewing machine, get it sewed up, and I will meet you back here. Okay, now that we have that sewn together, we'll go ahead and get this ironed up. Take our strip again, the same strip, and we are going to put it on the edges going up and down. We'll go ahead and sew a 1/4 inch seam on that, cut it up, and do this side as well, and I will meet you back here. Okay, now that we have it sewn together, we're going to go ahead and iron them both open. Square these up. I'm just going to start by taking this here off the end because we know that's extra. Okay, so that is what our alternate block looks like. Put that up next to those ones, so it's going to look quite nice. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up the other 11 of these. Get them all iron flat, and then I'll bring you back to show you how to put the blocks together. Okay, so we have our 2 different squares all done and squared up. So now we are going to assemble them together. So all we're going to do to assemble them together is go by sides. We're just going to line those up. Make sure they're nice and straight, and put some pins in there. And then we're going to do the same with this, and we're alternating every other block. So it's the snowball block and then the square block. So then we'll want the snowball block and the square block on this side. Then we'll take those to the sewing machine, and we'll take a 1/4 inch seam on both of those all the way down. Get those cut apart, and we'll come back and we'll join the 2 sections together. Okay, so we have those sewn together. So we're just going to go ahead and line these up, just as we did the first ones. Then we'll bring it to the sewing machine, put a 1/4 inch seam in that, We'll get them all ironed open, and then I'll meet you back here to show you how to put the rows together. So we have all of our rows sewn together and ironed flat, and I just alternated the seams. So one row goes that way, one row goes that way, so forth. So we are going to start. This is an outside row here. That is row number 1. So we're just going to flip that over onto row number 2. And we are going to line up those seams. I'm going to start in the middle here. Oh, yeah, okay, right there. That's why I wasn't lining up. And we're going to put a pin in there, and we actually have 3 seams because there's 4 blocks in a row. So it's kind of confusing because you have these outside ones on these as well. So you want to make sure that you're getting the right seam when you're lining them up. Overall, though, this has been a fairly easy quilt to put together. One of the easier ones I've done, mainly due to when you find it in a pattern or a quilt book such as this, they have all your sizes and stuff there for you, and I don't have to go through the calculation process, which takes a lot of time off of a quilt. Okay, then we'll bring it to the sewing machine, and we will put a 1/4 inch seam all the way along that. And then we'll come back and we'll join the next row, and we'll go. Once I get all the rows sewn together, I'll go ahead and give that an iron, get it all ironed flat, and I will meet you back here to start putting the border on. Okay, we have the top all sewn together and ironed flat. I'll bring you back to the table, and we'll go ahead and attach this first border. So with this first border, we have our strips cut, and we're going to go ahead and we are going to sew them end to end. So we'll just put 2 of them together. We're going to line them up. So we'll pin that into place. And I'm going to put a couple in because I'm going to go ahead and pin them all while I'm at it. Take them to the machine and put, I'm just going to go toward the top of that. So we got a good 1/4 inch on that. Seam on each of the connections we made. We'll get those ironed open, and then I'll come back and I'll show you how to attach to the quilt top. We're going to start this one. We're going to line up our end of our border that we just put together, right sides together, and we want to make sure that we got this end off the end of the quilt. We don't want that in there, although that is going to be part of the seam allowance, so it wouldn't matter. I did find out when sewing the borders together that right on the other side of that strip, this here is a 1/4 inch, so it worked out perfect. We'll go ahead and we will pin that into place. And the directions do say to start with the long ends or sides first, left and right. So we are going to do that. Okay, so one of the things I learned from doing this 3-yard quilt out of this book is there's not much room for play with the fabric, such as this one. Fabric here, the fabric number 2. I didn't have any extras out of that yard. I did 2. I had one 2.5 inch strip, I believe, out of the full yard left over. And I have used it already. So we don't have enough to cut any more of this. Uh, if I were to make a mistake. So in the directions it says to sew it down and then cut it off at the end. So I'm going to go ahead and sew this all on with a 1/4 inch seam. Cut it off exactly at the end of the quilt, and then I'll do the other side just the same. Get those ironed open, and I'll meet you back here to put the ends on. Okay, we are back. We do have the two left and right sides done with the border. So we're going to go ahead and get started on putting them on the ends, top and bottom. So once again, we'll just go ahead and put that on there and pin that into place. And it looks like we will have actually extra of this. I know I was concerned with not having enough. It didn't look like there'd be enough, but there is plenty. Looks can be deceiving, I guess. So I'm going to go ahead and bring it to the sewing machine, so 1/4 inch seam, and we'll come back, cut that off, and get the other side done as well. I'll iron those flat, and I will meet you back here. Okay, we have all four of the borders on now. I had thought about going bigger with it and adding in a border of both the burgundy snowball and the goldish snowball. And then I decided against that because we do already have our binding cut out and I don't have any more of that fabric. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it this size. It is fairly good size. I'll step back here so you can see. It is fairly good size. It's definitely at least a good 5 foot long. It's 43 by 60. Let me check that once. 43 by 62 finished size. So it is fairly nice size. I'm just going to use this as a gift for one of our Christmas games this year. And it's all for the kids, the grandkids. So I'm sure it's going to fit them. I have set aside this for the backing, the burgundy snowball. So we got all that planned out, and of course we have our binding. I am not going to finish it in this video. I will record as I go and finish this up. A separate video later on next week on sandwiching your quilt, quilting it in, and binding it, and I will be using this quilt to do so. So stay tuned. Keep an eye out for that one. As always, guys, if you found this video useful, go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. It really helps our channel grow. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button because we'd love to have you here at Sew Granny Sew. Thanks all. Have a good day. Bye.